Welcome back to Old Guy REI. In this latest episode of Workman Confessions, I have a lot of things on my mind that I wanted to share with you just to expose you to, I guess, the roller coaster ride that real estate investing can put you on. And recently, we went under contract on a property in one of our favorite markets. It's the St. Louis, Missouri market. And we're under contract for a 2-1. It's a small one. It's about 900 square feet. Things are looking pretty good. There are some repairs being done by the owner that came up in a previous inspection report. The sewer lateral is very important to us, and that's one thing that had an issue. So they're replacing a portion of the sewer lateral. Other things in the inspection report were just like small plumbing leaks under sinks, GFI receptacles not working, windows painted shut, windows that wouldn't lock, little things like that. So we're moving forward with that one. And while we were under contract for that one, our agent brought us another property that looked even nicer than the one we're under contract for. So we made an offer on that one as well, and the offer got accepted after a little bit of negotiating. The first one's for sale for $75,000, should rent for about $11.50, could go as high as $12. The return on it's going to be very good for us anyway. We usually shoot for 10% cash on cash return. These would both be over that, one about 12, one at 15%. The second property is for sale for $82,600, and that's what our offer got accepted at. Some of the stuff that happened during the week that is pretty exciting. I think when you're under contract for a property, it can be very exciting because you think you're going to get, your next door, and cash flow is going to increase for you each month and things like that. But I try not to get too excited because the deal's not done until you sign those documents at closing. We've gotten excited in the past and been really bummed out when something along the way made the deal go sideways. So during the week, we did a lot of texting back and forth with our agent. As you know, we're here in California, and we love our agent out there in St. Louis. We really have a great property manager there as well. If we close on these two doors, that would put us at 10, which was exciting in itself. But like I said, things can happen. The first property is going well. The repairs are being done, so we should close on that soon. The second property, on Friday, we got the inspection report back in the afternoon, and it didn't look as great as we had hoped. There were several things that I didn't like. We have yet to speak to our agent on Monday, and a lot of times that's super frustrating because you get news like that on Friday or at the beginning of a holiday weekend or holiday week, and then you have to wait through all that time to get answers, and that's really frustrating. And for this one, a few things that I didn't like came back. For example, the roof looked really nice in the pictures, but once the inspector got up there, he realized there was some hail damage pretty much all around the roof in different spots, and recommended replacing shingles. For me, I'm thinking just replace the whole roof. In that market, it's about $4,000 the last time we had a roof done, which was last year. So prices may have gone up a little bit. There's also the fascia behind the gutters is really messed up in a couple of spots. So to access that, sometimes they'll have to pull a few shingles around the edges and pull the gutters and replace the fascia and then put everything back together. So that can be a little bit of a process. There were a bunch of little things, loose handrails, a couple of GFIs that didn't work, things like that. The other big one was when they did the sewer scope, they found roots in the system So that would have to be taken care of before we took over the property. If the seller's willing, if not, then we probably won't move forward. But we don't know. We won't know until Monday when we get to speak to our agent to see what the seller's willing to do. And I don't know that we're willing to move forward. I think they would have to give us a really big discount on the property. In my head, I'm thinking at least $10,000 off because of the roof, the sewer, and then even with that, I'm not sure I want to have to deal with the hassle of replacing part of the sewer lateral. That's why I said we try not to get too excited until we're actually closing on something. The other thing, a few other things that we had to deal with during the process. For example, I mentioned lots of text messages between the agent and ourselves, sending in an earnest money deposit, getting our property manager out there if he could to look at the property, because this one's in Ferguson, and there they have requirements that you need to have interior and exterior inspections of the property if you're going to rent the home out. So they're mostly health and safety issues, I imagine, but we're learning more about that process as we go, and I'll keep you updated the more we learn. Then scheduling a home inspection, paying for the home inspection, paying for an appraisal. That's one thing I mentioned in the chats this week about mistakes I've made before about paying for an appraisal too early and having it done too early before the inspection was done. I didn't know any better. So now we don't schedule the appraisal until after we see the inspection and make sure we're satisfied that we're going to keep moving forward, because we have lost that appraisal money in the recent past. In this case, it was about $700, which is not horrible, I guess, but it could go a lot further somewhere else. And so on this property, since we had an inspection scheduled, I asked our property manager if he had time to go there, and while it was open, because the property is occupied, to see what he thought about the interior, because we're going to have to get the interior inspection done after we close. The seller doesn't want to do it. So he went there during that time, and from what I understand, I got a call from our agent saying that my property manager was there while the inspector was there, and that my property manager was very unprofessional, and actually he and the home inspector got into an argument. So she was wondering if it was my actual property manager or if he sent someone in his place, because she had never had that happen. And this was a first for us as well. But when I reached out to our property manager, he said yes, he was the one there, and each guy had their side of the story. The property inspector did his job, and we got the report. Our property manager was there to represent us, and he didn't back down. So he did what he needed to do for us, and now, everything's kind of blown over, but we won't make that mistake again. We'll schedule the guys separately whenever we can. So it was a little bit crazy, and now, after all that little fiasco, we might not even pursue the property if the seller doesn't want to make those changes or repairs. There was also some dry rot and termite damage under the bathroom. That takes a little bit. The tile in the bathroom floor was cracking because of the weak subfloor and things like that. So I hope that we can work through this. And again, it would be disappointing if we didn't get that 10th door right now, but we can't follow through on bad deals. It's a little bit hard to stretch the dollar as it is, so we'll save what we have and see if our agent can find another property in the near future. But patience Patience is hard sometimes, but it will work out to your benefit if you can be patient and think things through without being emotional, without trying to rush and get to that next door, even if because you don't want to get the next door if it's going to be an alligator, obviously. So I hope this helps. There'll be more to come, I'm sure. Thanks. We'll talk to you soon.